Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Nolan Baker and Chaz Price. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. ARHQ.com is the website, not to make everything we talk about this week be all doom and gloom, but I want to go back to the 2008 financial crisis, specifically the movie The Big Short, which documented the crisis. Steve Carell played the part of Steve Eisman, and he was the one who bet against the housing sector, made millions in the crash. Just recently, the real-life Steve Eisman says he believes the stock market is experiencing a shift away from growth in tech stocks to a more conservative approach involving fixed products and higher interest rates, like we were just talking about. What are you telling people that ask right now, what is the best way to invest my retirement savings?
I do think that everybody wants to know that. We just recently did some events that we had talked about, the 5 threats and opportunities that are facing retirees, and had an opportunity to kind of meet with a lot of people, starting to share some of those ideas. In fact, if you haven't come out and listened to one of the financial updates that we're talking about, we do have a couple of other ones that are coming up that are listed on our website. The website address is arhq.com. 2 of them I think that are important to try to help answer that question are March 13th and March 15th. We're going to be going over the retirement playbook. So we're going to be giving out those folks that are close to or in retirement time, what we believe to be some of the best ways to invest their retirement savings. In fact, we recently did an interview with Coach Mike Jarvis. So if you haven't seen his book, Coach Mark Jarvis, his book is on why everybody needs a head coach. And he gives some really good principles within his book. In fact, if you haven't read his book, if you'd like to read, I have a couple of autographed copies of this book. For the first 5 callers that call in from the show, we would be happy to give you an autographed copy of this book and extend an invitation to come out to listen to what our playbook is. We've got that again at the bottom of the screen. You can go to arhq.com, click on the events tab, or give our office a call. We'd be happy. Again, the first 5 callers can get a copy of that. But when we were looking at, I think, investing our life savings, I think, Chaz, a big part of that comes down to our core philosophy of the independent income system. And, when you get that question for folks, how do you answer that?
Yeah, I always, I have no question that the independent income system really is the best strategy for a retiree, because what we're doing here that's different than other advisory firms is that we're actually building you a customized retirement plan, which means that the expenses that you are expecting to have to spend and the amounts and the timing that you're going to need them are actually some of the tools or actually some of the inputs that we use to build your asset allocation. Conversely, some advisory firms and other investment strategies in general just call for like a 60-40 portfolio, where we're going to put 60% of your money in stocks, 40% in bonds. We're going to diversify. We're going to own a lot of different stocks and bonds and mutual funds, and we're going to hope that more go up than more go down. And to me, that's not as good of a strategy as knowing that you're in a customized approach, that somebody's taken the time to basically take into consideration your specific needs when we're building the plan. So that's exactly why I like the independent income system so much, is because it gives a name and a face to that philosophy that I've always kind of had, but that you've been able to trademark and actually be able to implement it in a way that is not difficult, because I know that's one of the major issues with having that sort of plan, is that it's difficult to make a customized plan for everybody.
Yeah, so when you're looking at what is the best way to invest my retirement savings, it's a matter of stepping back for a minute and saying, what is the time frame when I'm going to use that money? I mean, there's probably a different approach for somebody who's pulling money off of their retirement accounts than somebody who's, saving money and they don't need for 10 years down the road. We believe that when you're looking to invest part of your money, it's important that you're putting money into an account that give you enough reliable income to cover your minimum monthly income needs.
Right.
We believe it's important to have a bucket of money that's designed to give you a potential future pay raise. I personally believe for long-term growth, I think, equities can make a lot of sense as long as, again, you have a very defined investment strategy and an approach on how to put things together, using things like, circuit breakers so you can try to avoid significant losses. I think it makes a lot of sense when you have money set aside for an emergency, so you know what that money is going to be used for, and trying to maximize those. A lot of times when people come to the office, they have a good, but we want to take them from good to great type portfolio. So you might be listening today, you might not know whether you have a custom approach or whether you have an approach that's a one-size-fits-all strategy. But I think, as you point out, Chaz, having a customized approach and then putting the right financial products in place to serve the right needs makes a lot of sense. It's no different than when you look at Coach Mike Jarvis on how he builds out his team, right? You've got different players that are designed to do different things that fill in for different spots, for different goals and different intentions. And then when you put that all together, that really helps to determine, what might be the best way to invest for retirement savings for folks when you really understand the purpose of that. If you haven't watched that video, just again, you can Google independent income system, and there's a nice 15-minute video that walks you through where those threats and opportunities are that are out there. Or better yet, again, if you haven't come out to one of our events, just go to arhq.com, click on the events tab. We'd love to have you come out. The event that we do have coming up here shortly is going to be on, again, March 13th and March 15th. We're talking about the retirement playbook. I do have a couple of these autographed books, so I have 5 of them. And the first 5 people who give us a call, they can get a copy of this book for Everybody Needs a Head Coach. You can also get your tickets to come out to the event. If you call the office, we'd be happy to get that to you and get that information out to you. Just let us know you wanted one of those books and you want tickets, and we'll make that happen.
Yeah. And Nolan, you've done a lot of great interviews. That's one of the things I think so cool about here at the Retirement Guys. I know you've interviewed a gentleman that does mountain climbing, and I've never been a mountain climber. I know you and Andrew do a lot of climbing, but I kind of use the analogy also of developing your investment strategy and kind of showing the difference between what's required when you're in the accumulation phase versus when you're in the distribution phase, which you kind of touched on a little bit today. And, to me, climbing a mountain is a lot different than getting back down the mountain. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know this, but oftentimes some of the most, the heaviest accidents and the most deaths occur on the way down. And it makes sense to me, because it's a totally different path. Before, when you're climbing the mountain, there's a separate set of skills that you need. But then once you get to the top of the mountain and you're looking down and you're saying, yeah, wow, this does look a little bit different now. How should I spend these dollars? Where am I going to get taxed the least? Those are a lot of different a different type of question than, some of the questions that maybe younger individuals ask about how can I get to the top as quickly as possible? And, there's one thing to consider getting to the top, being maybe just climbing freehand. You can get to the top a lot faster. But if just on that one day, there was something, a piece of rock that wasn't set and you touched it just the right way, where else can you get real fast, climbing free-handed to the bottom? And so when we meet with clients, our first initial discovery session, I find a lot of times that clients in that retirement red zone, that 3 to 5 years prior to retirement, are climbing free-handed. They have nothing that's tethering them to the mountain. No fail-safe, no circuit breaker, no fixed annuity or some sort of investment that's going to protect you in any situation. Like last year, stocks and bonds and everything were down. Our clients that own the annuities were very happy because they didn't experience loss. So that's one transition that we want to make sure that you have. That's part of your investment strategy as a retiree is don't climb the mountain freehand. You need to be tethered to the mountain. And in that way, you can control how far you fall. We need to be able to control the risk that we're willing to accept, taking out those low lows and sometimes the high highs. But in doing so, we're in better control. And I think that's really the main goal for a retirement investment strategy is control what you can control.
I think it's probably been pretty eye-opening for people in the past, 16 months or so, a year and a half, of how much risk they're actually taking. From 2010 up until 2020, people thought they were very comfortable with a large amount of risk because, well, it was pretty hard to not make money in the market. But as volatility has crept back into the picture, people, especially as they get closer to retirement, are probably taking a pause at that and figuring out, well, I got to find a way to minimize these market downturns, to minimize what it's doing to my retirement accounts. And the truth of it is, with a proper plan, like the independent income system that the team at America's Retirement Headquarters can create individually for you, you can do just that. It all starts with picking up the phone and giving a call, 419-794-3030. Don't forget, if you're one of the first 5 callers, a complimentary copy of Coach Mike Jarvis's book, an autographed copy of the book, Everybody Needs a Head Coach, as well as tickets to the upcoming Retirement Playbook Workshop on March 13th, March 15th. Again, 419-794-3030. You can also peruse all the events coming up at arhq.com.